Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming News. Today is the 24th March of 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. Today we got three stories for you guys. First we're going to take a look at the possibility of EA developing an open world Star Wars game. Then we got some more details on the Overwatch League Code of Conduct, and last of all, to end on some of the lighter side, there's a pub in England that's now offering to buy you drinks if you get a Fortnite Battle Royale victory. But let's begin with EA, Star Wars, and an open world game. This is a thing many people have been waiting on for years, maybe decades, if they had any sort of idea what gaming was at that point in time. But it is a very obvious thing that we are just sorely missing if we don't count the Star Wars MMO. And I don't think it could be counted, as this should theoretically be a single player game. So there was a job listing that said that it's looking for a lead online engineer to deliver online features for a Star Wars open world project for the Vancouver studio, which is essentially the studio that took over Visceral Games. They didn't take over Visceral Games, they took over Visceral's games. The games that belonged to Visceral. And one of the games Visceral was developing was, well, it wasn't actually an open world Star Wars game, but they were working on a single player Star Wars game that was very narratively driven. And it seems that this game is starting to be remodeled, at least somewhat, into an open world game. And I gotta say, I really have low expectations from EA at this point. And I don't think I'm the only one who does, because what EA has been doing over the past several months deserves some sort of consumer punishment. But an open world Star Wars game, man, I do want to play that, especially what I would love to see if there was actually sort of a linear segment at the beginning, let's say 2-3 hours, where you would actually become a Jedi. You know? That could be like points in the past, like you getting drafted as a kid and training. That would be like the tutorial. And then going on a few missions to get actually used to the character, and then it would just send you out into the world of the Old Republic. That is what I would love. Just, you know, getting the chance to be there and being the protector. And obviously you wouldn't get to fight that many Sith in that sort of way. There would probably be some grandiose Sith conspiracy as the main storyline for the game. But apart from that, it could very easily be done as an open world game where you're essentially just, you know, the policeman of the universe. And that's essentially what the job of the Jedi Knights was in the Republic. So that's what I really want to see. I doubt that's going to be exactly what we are going to get, because I know I don't have any abilities in terms of prescience. But man, would I love to play that. I would even review that, even though it would be a huge ass fucking game, and I would actually lose money by playing it, because I wouldn't be playing other games that could be finished much quicker. But who cares? It's Star Wars, and we all love Star Wars for one reason or another. It's not my favorite sci-fi franchise, but it is the one that has one of the coolest ways to actually transform it into games. For example, I don't know if you guys can see, there's a little poster there on my wall. It's Arrakis. It's a planet from the Dune book. And I would love to see a game from the Dune universe. There were a few, but I would love to see a modern one. But it would be so hard to make it. It could either be a strategy game, like the original Dune was, the first RTS. It could be an adventure game, but you cannot really make it very easily into a classical game that would be very successful these days. I guess you could make an RPG with several classes, like you could decide whether you want to play for the Imperium or for the Atreides, or maybe for one of the other classes, and you could be like either a warrior, or you could be somewhat of a sorcerer if you would be playing for the Bene Gesserit. And there could be a few stories done there, but still. Star Wars has this sort of almost implemented into itself with the amount of races they have, the fact that there is literal magic with the Force there, tons and tons of cool technology. Yeah, I can definitely see Star Wars being the better franchise for adaptations into games. Okay, let's move on to the Overwatch League. We've been talking about the Overwatch League a fair bit, partially because it's essentially the biggest esport. It's not the biggest esport, it's the biggest single esport league that is out there. It's the only one that is trying to mimic the ways traditional sports work with, you know, team-based city-based teams and sort of a set roster of players for each team. And there was also a little bit of an issue with the fact that some of their players have been giving out some rather unpleasant statements, let's call it, and then a code of conduct being created. And I did have my reservations against the code because honestly, it just wasn't really fleshed out in the way I wanted it to be. No, it should be. That's the more probable, or the way it should have been. But it seems that a full copy of the code of conduct has been leaked by one of the broadcasters for Overwatch League, Richard Lewis. He posted a scanned hard copy of what he calls the Overwatch League rulebook. This is not confirmed information, but from what is actually in that document, I will generally assume that it is actually like this. So some of the rules are that no more than 2 players can be on stream or video at one time, because then we consider these players playing as a team. Sure, they cannot stream 1 hour and before an hour after any league events. Sure, that makes sort of sense. The only thing that should be mentioned here, the way it is worded, it assumes that they cannot play any other games on stream, not even, like, let's say something silly like Minesweeper. There are some more things on the streaming policies. So, for example, they are not allowed to stream any organized competitive play. That probably means like tournaments, because, you know, they're just like employees, and they're essentially Blizzard employees. More interestingly is that the league players are restricted in what games they endorse. If the game isn't Activision Blizzard, the league players are strictly forbidden to say their opinions on it, as it might seem that they're endorsing the games, and that seems super bad. So they essentially cannot play anything else other than Overwatch League until they get out of Overwatch altogether. And that sucks, man. They can play Hearthstone, they can play Diablo, they can play World of Warcraft and StarCraft and the Activision games, but they cannot play like little indie games because of this. And that sucks, because these players are really watched, and if they came out and endorsed a little indie title created by a single guy in his bedroom, it could really blow out that game and make it a success if it's a talented developer. So I think this one should be limited to big ass publishers. I think indie games should be exempt from this. There's a bit about how the players can act and behave themselves. So obviously they can be fined and banned, because we have already seen that. But interesting, Blizzard actually says they have the right to take down any stream or comment they wish if they deem it inappropriate. I don't really like that. That's essentially a way to restrict their freedom of speech. And I do know that the vast majority of the world actually doesn't have free speech in the way especially Americans understand it. But still, no, this thing just shouldn't be there. And then there's that Blizzard can use any previous stream media for any purpose. That's pretty obviously they just want to have the ability to use it for things like marketing. That's fine. That's honestly fine, and it's the most common thing. So yeah, those are essentially the additions. There's obviously the huge part that's needed in any sort of code of conduct these days. The fact that the league players will not engage in harassment and discrimination based on race, gender, color, religion, national origin, disability, sexual origin, gender identity, the usual leftist stuff. So yeah. But otherwise, apart from the fact that they essentially cannot play any other games, and the fact that Blizzard has the right to take down any comments by the Overwatch League players, it seems sort of fine, but especially the freedom of speech thing is really bad. Not only is it limiting potential business for other people, it actually, I think, could be not constitutional in the United States. If I was one of the Overwatch League players, I would actually take a look at that. But I'm sure they probably have it done in such a way that it is constitutional, but it just seems to go against the spirit of the Constitution, to be honest. And our last piece of news, so a pub. If you don't know what a pub is, then you don't know British American. British English. What the fuck did I just say? British American. No, British English. A pub is a cooler bar. It's a better bar because you can just go there and sit with your friends and chat. And one of these pubs in Britain, in the United Kingdom, has decided to offer £30 worth of a bar tab to anybody who can claim a victory in Fortnite Battle Royale. If you don't know how many £30 is, it's about $42 or about 40 euros. The only catch is you actually have to do it in the pub, and everybody else will be watching you. So adding that sort of stress to you, the fact that you're playing on a big ass projector and not on your usual little monitor where you're used to seeing everything, you have to look around like a fucking idiot. I think it's going to be fun, and I do wish that they get a lot of people and they stream the people playing. And don't stream the monitor. Have a camera set up that it shows the person and it actually shows the gameplay as well, so we can see the person's reaction. Or maybe even have it 3 streams: one that shows the gameplay, one that shows the person's view, and one that just is essentially another guest sitting who is watching it around. Yeah, I really like it. The pub's name is The Warehouse, which it's a student pub. I don't see where exactly it is. Damn. The Warehouse UK pub. I cannot see. There's so many named Warehouse. Fortnite. Is there? I really hope there's an address. Okay, so it's managed by somebody named Alex. I just don't see. So, it's in the Huddersfield area. So if you're in Huddersfield, Britain, go and try to get yourself free £30 worth of beer. And with that being said, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribing to our channel. If you're watching on Steam, maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow the blog. Either way, leave a comment. Tell me, if there was a pub offering free beer for a Fortnite win, would you go and try it, even if it meant playing in the pub? And be sure to tune in tomorrow for the big weekly podcast with me and Tygergamer. See you guys later with more gaming content.